All right, ladies and gentlemen, winners match time here for the Ting Open. Quick reminder that this tournament is, of course, sponsored by Ting. $5,000 coming out of their pockets straight into the esports of StarCraft 2, and they, of course, definitely deserve your love. So that being said, in the top left, to see which of these two makes it out of the group in first place, it's going to be Root Gaming's Hydra.
In the bottom right, as the blue Terran, he is Reality.
Now, it is worth noting really quick, guys, that we are back on Korea. So, the, I guess it's weird to explain, but Korea is a bit odd to be here because Hydra's normally from North America, and we were expecting to have to do some coin flips, NA Korea, NA Korea, NA Korea, back and forth like that. However, Hydra, for whatever reason, is currently in Korea. So this works out better, obviously, for this match, but it does require a bit of server swapping and whatnot elsewhere.
Yeah. Works out really well for the winners and losers. That is how the game went. The decider will be played on NA unless whoever loses this and solo agree to coin flip, but that has not been the case so far. So I doubt it's going to happen. Actually, speaking of who going to lose, who do you think is going to win this match?
This is a hard call because we haven't actually seen these two play often, but it is worth noting Hydra shows up in the Alima League once in a while. I think Reality's the bigger powerhouse. And we could talk about, like, you know, the time of day affecting his gameplay and all these other things, but I think Reality's just had a lot better showing in our weekly cups. Hydra's obviously the champion, and I think if this was like a live event thriving, we'd see him do quite well. But I think Reality, I'm giving it to Reality in this.
Reality's such a mystery player for me because you do see him in the Alima League, but he also has really good results, like in the Korean scene, or pretty good results, I should say. So I don't know where to place him. Sometimes our Alima League, favorites are great in the Alima League, but not outside. And sometimes like vice versa. But I think I would give it to Reality 3-2. But this first game should say a lot as to how the rest of the series is going to look. It kind of sucks that it's on Prion, which is a little bit of a different map. Like if it was Dusk, I think it would be the determining factor, like who's going to win this based off of this game. But
change my mind. Hydra got 2 SCV kills early on. Hydra wins.
Okay, that's it. He got 1 SCV kill, but sure.
No, I got 2. Oh, wait. How's it land? Oh, it's a Marine. Excuse me. I just had the 2 kills on the, So there you go. 1. Whatever.
Close enough!
Early Overlord speed. Ooh. I wonder if we might see something a little bit cheeky up with this. It is Prion Terraces. You got extra money to burn, and Hydra has been actually using this particular cliff to elevator units up from time to time, so that could be interesting to see. Jokes aside, though, I still think I'm gonna stick with my I'm gonna stick with my Reality guy. Even if he loses on this map, I still got pretty good faith in my boy Reality.
He's going for a Hellion drop, it looks like, so that's interesting. It could do a lot of damage. The Hellions being scouted from Hydra, of course. Oh, okay, it's gonna be an armory too. I was gonna say Hellion drops, Hellion drops have been a thing, but seeing the armory is also makes sense. This is what Reality did versus Solo last time he played on Prion Terraces. Hydra did not go for Roach Warren or Baneling Nest, and he did not see the armory. No, he did see the armory.
He did see the armory. That was pretty important to scout. I just want to give a thank you to JTDC for the $2 donation. I will not be reading that message out on stream, but thank you. And we will be looking into stuff like that. Don't worry about it. So Liberator, Hellbats, any sort of push with this. It's always a little bit scary because it is Prion, and you wonder, like, not just for the Zerg player to defend, but for the Terran player, you're wondering, like, what's waiting for you at the top of this ramp. And this is kind of spooky because Hydra doesn't have much here to defend.
No. I think by the time he noticed the armory, it was like 5 seconds later, and he just threw down the Roach Warren, so.
Shout out to MY Winter, by the way. Thank you for subbing to the channel.
Yes, that's really cool to see. Of course, a new sub just in general, but so the player.
Yeah, really
so the Hellbats, I mean, the Queen's are doing a really nice job. Oh, is he going to scout that Nidus Worm?
He does see it. He did see it.
Okay.
The cleanup here was really good out of Hydra. Actually, I thought with the Lynx coming out so late, this was going to be quite scary. Obviously, that Queen with 5 health, for example, not a lot helping. Scans to confirm that this wasn't cancelled after scouting, so now Reality knows what he's going to have to deal with back at home. Problem is, even with a tank out, he's gone for a second Liberator instead of a Medevac, so there's not going to be mobility for this. In fact, there's not going to be a lot of units, period, for this. The Nidus Worm is going to probably do a pretty good amount of damage.
Well, he cancels it, so I would have agreed, but I guess
Oh.
because he knew it was scouted, he decided to go for it. But
I don't. He saw what was at home. Like there really wasn't
Yeah.
anything to defend that. I mean, I'm not going to say that was a bad move from Hydra. Playing this game out straight up, I think he still ends up being a little bit better off. But he's down to workers currently.
oddly enough, Reality didn't even react to said Nidus Worm. Like, I don't actually think he realized that was a Nidus. Probably thought it was like a Banelanus or something.
After he scanned it, he definitely knew.
I don't know. He just didn't react to it, but he still sees the forming Nidus Worm. It's just odd for him not to do anything. Now, of course, it's been too long. He knows there's no Nidus Worm, but he did take that very calmly. Oh well. The double Jeremy goes down, the third CC, so he's macroing up, getting that tank count high. Liberator denying mining wherever it can.
We got a very long donation coming from Vladimir Krulicek. Actually, I remember this guy. He was the one asking about vampires and glutes and whatnot before. Kerrigan's butt. It's pretty mixed up English. I think the TLDR, the message that he wants to read out in stream is Fire Cake should change his name now to Retire Cake. New name required.
Yeah, we had to decipher his English last time too. I did not realize that 15 drones had gone down.
No, he's been slowly bleeding them out. It's
Yeah.
been a little bit stark. I just want to point this out because people are donating for this. This is 2 donations in a row, guys. Don't worry about leave the whole Fire Cake thing for us to worry about. As fans, I'm sure some of you are upset. For those of you cheering for Fire Cake, really upset. We'll handle it. Let's focus on the good games that we have left at this point. You know, like this is gonna be a great match. Let's ideally focus on Hydra and Reality for the time being.
Yeah. Just leave that for later. The double tank drop and the miss on the Liberator. This constant harassment is doing really quite well. The only thing I would be worried about is if Reality was slipping on his macro back at home, but really not so much so far. Once again, just kind of haphazardly throwing down his 3 extra barracks in the middle. But I think that's also just some Terrans prefer that, having those reinforcements on the front line, having a little bit of SimCity in case Ultras ever came out, and even a little bit against Roach Ravager, which of course Hydra has decided to go for.
I mean, Hydra's been playing with. It's a dangerous game, right? There's been no units in play is the problem. It's not that he's bled out a ton of roaches and whatnot. Like, he's been bleeding out workers, and that sucks. Don't get me wrong, but he just hasn't had a lot of units like that. There's been no 18 mutas coming out, no swarm of lings and roaches. These tank drops are not killing much, but it's not much to kill, weirdly enough. Ling hype.
Hydra, I mean, he could have tried to take advantage of this really late stim for Reality, but he was taking so much damage. His army is not even really that big. He's actually banking quite a few minerals and gas. There we go. There's the Roach Flood here. And I guess he's also going to want to wait for 2-2 to do anything. So I wonder if we'll see an Infestation Pit. His 2-2 is still pretty far off. He'll just be defending against this push for now. And okay, there's the Infestation Pit. Bird? Roaches. Sneaky.
This is kind of cute. I mean, there's no reason to have turrets all over the place, but there's no mutas, no reason to do this. Now, Hydra might get some worker kills behind this, and that's cool. That's great, but it's not going to matter if he loses the main fight back at home. This is a scary force pushing. Combat shields won't be done for it, but Stim is 1-1's finished, and these tanks 4 tanks are really scary for this to deal with. I mean, Ravagers without Roach buffer, they don't have a lot of health.
No, and the upgrades are even. The combat shields is quite important. Columbus CV's going down to Hydra's burrowed roaches, but really not that much. Reinforcements clean it up, force them to burrow again. Hive is on the way. Hydra just looking to buy time, hoping that Reality will draw back to deal with everything.
Reality a little bit discombobulated. I wasn't sure whether he wanted to go back or just keep pushing forward. He is going to stim. The corrosive bile is not going on the tanks, goes on the bio. That's a bit of a mistake. Tanks just got to shell away while this went on. Meanwhile, 11 workers have gone down. Nice payback for the Liberators early on. These roaches still not being dealt with in Reality. Okay, he's got a great force to fight with. 2-2 and combat shields is what he's looking towards. But man, if he doesn't deal with these roaches eventually, there we go. Finally going to send some Marauders over.
Yeah, he dealt with it so nicely in the beginning, but then really faltered towards the end here. 17 workers is a big deal, but so is losing your entire army. The tanks are no longer in this fight, however, he does have to withdraw, and the upgrades they finished for Hydra, but not yet for Reality.
Ooh,
Made a mistake in that last attack.
Does save 3 of the tanks, though. I didn't think he could save any of that rate, but that's not too bad. As he does decide to fall back, there's high ground he can take advantage of course, as well, and this rally just goes forward. The supply depot wall is ugly, but it does work.
His job. Oh dear. Well, this has been a back and forth game. We have a lot of worker losses for both players here. In fact, pretty even, 20 to 23. Hydra does have the bigger army, but of course it's inflated roaches, so Reality's army isn't bad. And his economy is still doing okay. Remember, of course, that he has the gold to transfer over to, so we will have a boost in economy later on, where Hydra will not, unless he takes the third gold base in the middle of the map, which we've only seen once from Mana. Ultra's Cavern's on the way, so well, maybe that'll just end the game before anything else. Yeah. The Ultraless Cavern actually does not have an answer, by the way. Usually at this point, you know, after the first 1 or 2 attacks, the Terran is just like, I think they're going to go for Ultras. They'll scan the Hive. And they start building Liberators lately, and then maybe Ghosts afterwards. But we don't see either one. And that's a little concerning. As in, really concerning.
Well, the army's spreading up here to the north. I mean, Hydra's going to look for an engagement spot, but it's going to be so difficult. It's not even about the tanks anymore. They're good to have, no problem, but that's a large amount of bio. Reality's down in overall supply, but as we see, the supply is a lot better for him. Infestors don't have the fungals going off. There's Corrosive Biles guaranteed to land, but they're going to miss. Actually, a lot of the Marauders just kind of safely fungled away from it. As he decides to push forward, Corrosive Biles are not going to be too useful.
That is not... That was not a good fight for Hydra. His Ultra's Cavern is done, but plating is still on the way.
It's not only that, but his gold bases are both mining out right now. He's not going to have a lot of income coming off the back end of this. And Reality, who didn't rely on gold, took a normal base, still mining pretty nicely. Ultras are normally the, haha, I win answer, but I don't know that he's going to have the capability to get enough of them, or any at this rate.
Yeah, he's not going to have any of them, and they would be coming out without plating, too, so they would be targeted down. I think this is looking like Reality's game. One last push here from Hydra, however. Does have a nice concave, just not enough units to take you know, a Bio Terran, a well-upgraded Bio Terran with Medivacs on. The tanks at this point, I mean, they're still important. It's still a lot of splash, but the Bio... It's really powerful.
I mean, keeping an eye on the actual supplies, this is pretty damn close, but it is the fact that those tanks don't really have a great answer. More roaches are on the way. Maybe with that one last push of units, you can kind of break this. But, I mean, for Hydra, it's not... despite having Hive Tech, despite having Kaitis plating, like, there isn't really that plan B behind it. This is do or die for him, pretty much.
Yeah. Yeah, Reality has been happily mining on that 4th gold for about a minute now, so... hasn't yet spiked up in income. Hydra still has it with his 5th base, too. He could transfer drones over there if this went down, and he's just barely going to be able to clean this up. Only Ravagers left over. They would go down pretty quickly, but Reality has to back off. Oh, onto the high ground. Good choice there. Hydra's holding on, man. Reality is trying to pump out as many units as possible, but just not quite up to that same income. The main's mined out. 3rd's actually still pretty healthy, but the 4th is already being oversaturated.
Well, some links do try and catch some of the reinforcements in the middle of the map, and that's not a terrible choice, but man, I'm just not feeling good for Hydra now. The roaches, the Ravagers, the Infestors, maybe they catch these Medivacs, and that starts being really sick. Ultras are finally coming out, but the funny thing is, because so many Marauders were being produced early, he had, like, past tense, a Marauder count that could kite around these Ultras. Unfortunately, he stopped it. Now starts picking up that Marauder production once again, but he was pumping only Marines for such a long time.
He stopped production on Medivacs and tanks for a while there. I don't think he was low on income. I think he was just, you know, spamming A, basically. But that was pretty important. You need Medivacs and you need tanks against Ultras. If you're not going to have anything else, that is. You don't have Liberators and Ghosts. And he didn't know that Hydra had this 5th base, I think. He only just now scouted it, and that's where Hydra just moved all his drones to. So losing that 3rd base, never ideal. He does respawn it back down. But he actually wasn't so bad in the income.
No.
That sucks.
He wasn't expecting the turret. He's hoping to get, like, sneaky, but that didn't work out.
Yeah. So Reality's only just now getting some income lead. Hydra's actually been winning for quite some time, and it's really not even that bad. I don't know what they're doing.
Oh, the transfer, because the depots blocked them all. I was like, why would those be in the middle of the map like that? That's insane!
You realize it, too. This is supposed to be a drop, and it's gonna die, doing no drop. Okay.
2 Ultras on the right side, actually. This... Again, these unkillable behemoths, they're dangerous. Is Hydra really going to start turning this around? Nah, there's so many Marauders here. You should be able to focus it.
I actually don't like the two task team ultras. You know, like they're kind of expensive.
They did draw
But,
all of Reality's army out of position, though.
They did not go down as quickly as I thought. Reality's still chasing, is going to lose control over his third. He's not going to lose it. There's no anti-air. He's just going to lift and send the SCVs away, but it's a lot of supply depots.
Should lift and send the SCVs away, but he's not. This is
go.
actually going to supply block Reality in a moment, too.
So
Liberators
he's just gonna...
just kicking up, too. Oh, no. Oh, no.
He's going to counter. There's a kind of pool of tanks that aren't really all that well protected with the SimCity. They could have been, potentially, but... that is going to send Hydra away. He doesn't want to deal with pushing ultras through supply depots, and he didn't realize that the army went around despite it chasing the two ultras, so he loses that base again. You know,
this is a weird
it's
game,
always so
Zamago.
difficult right now. It is. It's. I just can't believe that Hydra actually survived to get to this point. But with no anti-air, Reality could pick up and just drop with all of these medevacs, but he doesn't. He's not sure of that. It's like he's gonna have to try.
He also started just fighting one of the ultras at face value and started losing a lot of units for it.
Yeah. The upgrades are finishing up, though, for Reality. That's one thing Hydra was not able to afford. He was just barely getting by with ultras coming out one or two at a time. Infestor is starting to join here. Hydra is not on that perfect composition. Infestors are going to help, but there's no Queens for Transfuse, and there's no solid anti-air to take care of the medevacs, and now at least a couple of Liberators, which Reality should be focusing on getting that count up.
This is where the Liberators become really interesting for me, because Ravagers obviously will be the counter in this situation. You throw the Curse of Biles down, bam, bam, boom, easy peasy. But the problem is, there's not that many Ravagers left, and getting them in position to do this is a lot easier said than done. I'm loving these sneak attack tactics out of Hydra.
Yes.
Reality's actually going to start putting turrets down because he's starting to get sick of this, and I don't blame him. Widow Mines are an interesting choice, but they're not going to have a great spot. I mean, they're not great versus Ultras. They will do a lot of damage to one Ultra, but then kind of go on cooldown for a very, very, very long time.
Something really unfortunate happening here for Reality. He just lost so many SCVs. He would like to put down more gas geysers, but of course that would take away from his mineral count, which is also very low.
Looking for the break. Widow Mines are going to go off and kill one of the Ultras. Not too bad. He's got some SimCity to hide behind here with the barracks. Ultras count starting to blow out. He's only got about one left, and that army can't fight without the Ultras to protect him.
No, that is a very, very weak army behind those Ultras, and there's only one left over. A Fungal goes down, but that Ultra can't do it.
The command center got lifted. Meanwhile, we got a drop goes off at the side. Well, all of this goes on. In reality, he's got no supply.
So much.
He's got no supply.
Oh god, pick up.
Oh. He's gonna mine 9 SCVs. Oh no.
He's never had consistent mining. He's always been repairing command centers, too. Hydra being denied this base no longer has great mining either, but he has that third that's been planted down twice.
Oh, that command center goes down, doesn't lift it. I mean, that's the thing for Reality. It's been inconsistent mining out of Hydra, whereas Reality, it's been so strangely back and forth. Hydra, of course, with the Ultras, proven to be just a little bit good. One or two being thrown away on the sides. Still trying to get around with these medevacs. No anti-air to reliably remove them from the equation.
The
predictive shot is good! Hydra! What a god!
No, he's not going to be able to save that command center. It's going to go down. 22, 20, 20, 19. It goes on so fast.
Oh my god.
It's going to die. It's going to die.
Drops the mules, but too late. One command center remains, because let's not forget, he didn't build like 17 orbitals. And Reality's had a history of doing that, right? This is a situation where he was moving around. His main, his natural, his third. Like this. Oh no.
He's 9 workers. He has to go like Super Saiyan drop mode right now.
Not even Super Saiyan drop, just Super Saiyan period. Like he needs something special come out of his ass to save him at the end of the day, because he is he's got no way to contest with these Ultras. There's just no way.
He has a single Liberator that he could snipe the Ravagers and just hope to God.
GG.
Step out.
GG.
Oh, wow.
Hydralisk. Damn.
Jeez.
Or not Hydralisk. Hydra. Just damn. That was a great first game for him. I thought he was out in like 3 different spots in that game too. So more power to him, and congratulations as he does take that first game here in the series. What's the second map so I can get the map intro loaded up for it?
Arena.
All right. And of course, Samgrip's doing a wonderful job hosting while this goes on. The power of good Zerg players, man. I'm not even going to call bullshit on Ultras either. Like, Reality was dealing with the Ultras in a lot of situations, and the only time he started losing was when he stopped kiting and just started fighting at face value, right? Like, he was handling that well for the most part.
Well, it was always like when you look at the army versus army, it never looked that bad for Reality, and you just assumed with the bases he was sniping that Reality was doing better on the income, but he was actually always below 30 SCVs. The Roach counters really, I think, won Hydra that game. Ultras helped. But the Roaches killing command centers never should happen. But it did.
Well, they're good to go. Quick shout out once again to the Tunneling Claws that game. Super secret MVPs of that match. But Olrena, we'll see you guys in just a moment. Okay, we're back, and the first thing before we even do this is chat discussing Marauders needing a buff. I would just say Marauders need their nerf removed, to be honest.
Yeah, they just need to be reverted.
For those who don't know, Marauders used to have quite considerable damage, and they technically still have the same damage. The problem is they split their attacks in two, which means their armor from the Ultras applies twice to Marauders, which is why they're not so hot anymore. But we can talk about that for days, and we'll do it later. Spawning here on the top left, he's up 1 point. Will he go for Queen drops? Is I think my biggest question in this game. It's Root Gaming's Hydra.
The bottom left as the blue Terran, he is Reality.
Now, this is Olrena, and I bring up the Queen drop as a bit of a joke, but it is something that has been working versus Terran, it has been working versus Protoss, it has been working, period. Hydra may have a lot of different plans up his sleeve, though. He's quite good at using Roaches and Ravagers early on. He may just try and bully Reality in different ways. The problem with the Queen drops is it is very all-in, and there's not really a fallback to it if it fails. So I think that's why we're starting to see some people shy away from it, but it is still a good strategy.
Yeah, and tank drops can do very well against it. It's about those lings that get into every nook and cranny, so tank drop only covers so much. But if it's not going to be the ling drop, it should be some sort of roach pressure. The thing about Olrena is that it's not necessarily favored to like one or the other race, although every race will say the other one is favored. It's that there are very, very abusive points for all races at different points in different areas on the map. So the Ling all-in with Queens, good against both Terran and Protoss early game. But Terran pushing with tanks on the low ground that Reaper just hopped up on, very, very good. And that's something that Zerg wants to deal with.
Oh, we saw earlier today, Reality versus Solo, just abusing this position. There's depots in the middle of the map to block out the rush distance. There's a lot of ways this map can be crafted and taken advantage of for different races. Just some, it's kind of like the Ultralisk dynamic, right? Like they're not objectively broken units, but they look broken because when they snowball hard.
Yeah. We do have Hydra going for the early Overlord speed, but there's also the Evo Chamber. I was going to say you did that last game to go for any drops, but the Evo Chamber is going to solidify the drops. If it is the Ling drops, and I do believe it is, this is bothering to get Ling speed with the Queens, this is what is really difficult to deal with because the Lings just get everywhere. Even if you get a tank, your own splash will help kill the SCVs. If it's the Roach drop version, I actually think it's easier to defend against, so I do like the Ling version a lot better for Hydra.
Yeah, I think Roaches are more for Protoss and Lings are a lot more for Terran. Just general play style. But $5 donation coming from Ragmuffin. He says, ahem, I'm not usually one for balance wine, but please take this $5 and dunk it into the Nerf Zerg jar. GG Ultralisks. Well, that's what the jar's there for, man, to alleviate stress from watching games like that. Absolutely, we'll do it after this game's done. But that is a lot of Lings. The funny thing is, though, there's not that many Queens. And I think Queens are fairly important. Big part of this. Yeah, it's a lot more Lings than Queens. I mean, 3 Queens isn't bad. It's to be expected, but if this fails, it fails badly. Now he's going to bring the mules and everything back to the main. Widowmine, if this can hit the Overlords, the Marines can absolutely focus those down.
I really like this. Reality didn't necessarily scout much, but he saw how many Lings were coming out with
speed. Look at this. Denies the Overlord. 8 Lings go down immediately. If he got the one of the Queens, that'd be the sweetest deal, but the bunker finishes, SCVs are pulled. He is ready to deal with it. And we've seen this happen so many times where we wonder, like, how do you stop this? It looks so unbeatable. But he just shut it down so hardcore.
He really did. Even if that Widowmine hadn't gotten a hit on it, the bunker finishing, the command center not having to be worried about, he does lift it. That was all really good reactions from Reality, who now has a Widowmine drop heading over with a couple of Marines, as was his intention from the get-go. Hydra is going to try and follow this up with a 2-base Spire, most likely, but he's going to take a lot of damage first, and actually just going to Just gonna tap out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem we talked about. Like, it is all in. If it fails, it fails, and you don't have a lot of fallback for that. And the counterattack made it just that absolute, like, just the absolute situation. But congratulations to Reality. He will tie it up 1-1. I love that Widowmine, though. We've seen a lot of Terran players die to this, and that's the first time we've seen the Widowmine, and it just, well, it can't one-shot an Overlord. It was the Marines finishing it off that made that so sick. Just so well done. As you said, the bunker was still good. Like, I'm not trying to underplay that other part of it being important, but the that Widowmine was so sick. I really liked it.
Yeah, the inclusion of the Widowmine before the tank drop was something that we started to see like maybe a month ago, a couple of weeks ago, because it used to be like tank drop first, and that was like the safest you could be. And then people were, sneaking in Widowmines, and I do remember Reality doing that a lot in his group, his last group, that is. Change you over, and that actually ended up helping a lot more than just an immediate tank.
Alright, Dust Towers, I gotta add $5 to the Nerf Zerg jar. I'm good when they are, though.
Okie dokie.
Count with my fingers. It's 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. So 8, 32. Boom. Alright, stick around, guys. We'll see you in just a moment. Game number 3. I love coming back from each of these games and getting caught up in the chat off the delay. People still discussing the Marauder thing brought up in game number 2. And the funny thing for me is, like, they're saying, what if there's, like, a Fusion Core... Like, I know these aren't serious options, right? But, like, what if there's a Fusion Core upgrade where Marauders only shot with 1 attack, so basically unnerfing them? This is kind of like that really crappy version of content releasing that a lot of companies fell into, right? With DLC. Where you're like, okay, well, we could release the full version of the game, or we could cut it up into pieces and make you buy the rest of it. Like, that's how I feel everyone's treating the Marauder right now in this discussion, and that's not the way that it should go. I think creative, new, and fun ways are probably the better option rather than going back to just, like, unnerfing it, quote-unquote. But anyways, we are getting into game number 3. You're watching the Tang Open. These games have been going by pretty quick today, but they've been pretty damn good. Make sure you guys check out bttv.tang.com. You can claim $25 in credit for anything on their store, or you can put it towards your phone bill. Either way, Tang is a U.S. mobile phone service looking to save you some money, and if they can, make sure to check them out. Spawning in the top right corner, it's going to be the yellow Zerg player, Root Gaming's Hydra.
In the bottom left, as the blue Terran, he is Reality.
One last remark here, by the way, because this was happening a lot today. That first game with Firecake versus Solo, just now with Hydra and Reality. Like, everyone's calling these scores so early. Like, a bunch of hot shots know what's up. That's the passion speaking over the, I guess, the logic. But this has been a very... I mean, I said it, you and I had this discussion right at the start. Hydra, Reality, who's going to win this, and I like that it's going back and forth. And I would love if this went to the ace match, but I do still feel, again, a map like Dust Towers, Hydra's got that late game down pat, no problem. But Reality, it was a gold map. Prion is such a different map to lay it out on. It's hard to say that he would fail to the same things from Hydra on a more quote-unquote normal map like Dust Towers.
Yeah. And when we got into that first map, I said, like, I think this first game would tell a lot, but the fact that it's Prion Terraces will definitely mix that up. If it was Dusk Towers and Hydra, like, easily won, for instance, I'd be like, oh, like, Reality's not going to win this series, But it was actually a very back-and-forth clutch game on Prion Terraces, even with the oddity of that map. And then Arena, well, Arena was also odd. But I do think this is the match that would have the greatest chance of going to the ace. I think Firecake Solo would have too, based on their last results, but we all know what happened there. Yeah. And then the decider match, of course, Solo did not look so hot versus Reality. I think Hydra would have a really good chance too if he were the one to go down there. But we do have to talk about the curse if Reality's the one to lose. So,
actually, a bit of an odd question. And I'm trying to ask this as peacefully and non-drama incitingly as I can. What do you think would have been worse to watch? Firecake throwing versus Solo as he did in the losers match, or Firecake throwing versus one of the Koreans in the finals?
I guess in the finals. I would just say not to throw at all, but
yeah, well, I mean that's obviously the ideal selection. No, I'm just because I'm thinking on it, right? Like bringing this up of like who plays where, what, when, etc. I realize like it would have been nice to have seen him play out versus Solo, because even if for nobody, if for not a single viewer, and not for Firekick himself, for Solo, he would have been like, yeah, this is where I'm at as a gamer right now, after losing the group. So it would have been nice to have seen those matches play out. But either way, yeah, this is the winner's match. So luckily, the winner of this does get out of the group safe and sound. The loser will still have another chance to fight against Solo in the rematch, possibly, as you see the Hellions run by here into the natural, though. Going to get some nice kills to start. Hydra's Lings are a little bit out of position, angle-wise, so the Hellions get some really nice shots. 5 drones go down.
They go down, like, it's more important. Like, just even 4 or 5 Lings can really mess up with Hellions getting those perfect shots on the Hellions. So that's why it is so important to have those. But 5 drones, not so bad. The 4 Hellions were not the most useful units, so them going down is kind of like, for reality. But would have preferred more drones.
It is Dust Towers. There's really good spots to put the Liberator down.
Gosh, I had another point, but I totally forgot it. But yeah, Dust Towers is good for Liberators. We have Roaches, of course, for Hydra. For now, he might transfer over. Dusk Towers is good for Mutilating Bling. It's one of those maps where if you're going to do it, it's going to be this one. Reality is a 3rd CC already. It's finishing up in the natural. Hydra's not going to be able to glimpse it. Overseer about to die. Okay, he glimpses it. Even if he hadn't seen the actual 3rd CC, the timing on the barracks would have told him a lot.
Nice Liberator control with this goes on. Dodges at the Corrosive Bile. Keeps it alive a little bit longer. Not doing a great job shutting down the mining from Hydra, but it is causing spurts here where we see these massive spikes in income, and that's just because that's Hydra pulling away versus going back to mining. As we see, as it goes back to mining, it starts leveling out a little bit. So, again, not completely stopping the mining, but getting some pretty nice denial.
So here we have Reality set up pretty perfectly with his macro game. He's got Sim already done, and he should be pushing out as combat shields and 1-1 finishes up. That first game on Crown Terraces, since he went for a Hellbat attack, his combat shield was really late and did play into Hydra eventually breaking the attack and then eventually winning the game. This will look a lot better, but Hydra should also have much better creep spread this game. His queens, they of course have been dealing with the Liberators, but the creep tumors are already down, so they are being spread. We have a drop, actually, as opposed to a direct push. The Overlord sees it, though, and he might have to change his plans. Yeah, so he does just drop and pushes forward. He was just want to clear up creep right now. Even if he sees no army responding to this, pushing on to creep is always going to be dangerous. Even if you also know they're going for roaches, it's just not something you usually want to do.
This is really good creep now, though. Like, Hydra really didn't have that much, and that's every tumor getting picked off.
Yeah, it was like 4 creep tumors, so yeah, it was a very good scan. He's going to get a cancel on the 4th base. This was definitely a worthwhile push, but almost one that I feel Zerg has to anticipate, I think some of it is, of course, Hydra dealing with the Liberators and the economy being, up and down for him. He would have ideally had an army to meet that army in the middle of the map, but this has happened so often on Dusk Towers. Nice snipe on that one. Still one more medevac to drop with.
Yeah, nicely done for Hydra. At the same time, Reality, I'm not sure what was going on there. He had the medevacs controlled, and he just kind of very awkwardly did not handle that very well. 1-1's done, by the way. This is actually a pretty scary drop. He could still unload it. This Queen and 2 Roaches, not that scary of a defense. More now funneling in, but tries to do what he can with the Marines before going down. 2 Roaches, not a bad kill.
Yeah, exactly. 2 Roaches for not a lot, as long as the medevac survives. There you go. 2 more medevacs to the left. Now, usually, if you do a lot of medevac drops, the downside is that you don't clear up creep. Oh, medevac went down.
Yeah, it looked away for a second. I just assumed it was going to get out safe by having the right side.
Yeah, but because he already cleaned up the creep spread and there wasn't a lot to begin with, Reality is really having no downside to just consistently doing drops. Now he's going to do a main push. He's unloaded the 2 drops to the left. There's no Overlord in position to see that, unfortunately. Well, just barely outside. 2-2 will not be finished for this push. It's a long way off, but Hydra is also not on his way to 2-2, so this is actually concerning. Hydra went for Burrow and Tunneling Claws. He has enough gas and minerals to start his upgrades, but just choosing not to. Nothing being used with this bank quite yet. Does Reality want to pincer this army? Is that why he's waiting so long with these drops?
That's what I was wondering. Like, there's that hesitance, but he does decide to go for it. Now, the Tunneling Claws I'm pretty hyped about, because if we're going to be honest, Tunneling Claws, again, kind of the silent MVP, really got Hydra that security for win over the Ultras, even. But
That suck.
I think he just want to get those tanks down on the high ground, try to get a couple of shots off. They will get a couple of decent shots, but he's just going to pull back and not over-dedicate. Meanwhile, these drops here, still, it's not, like, bring them home if you're not going to use them. Have the full might of your army.
He did see a group of roaches waiting for him, so now Hydra had F2'd or something, and all those roaches came out, and he can clear a creep, but he has to defend against this push. His upgrades won't be done, but like I said, Hydra's pretty all in with this. He has Tunneling Claws, but no upgrades on the way, and all of his roach buffer went away too. Definitely don't burrow there. He would have a scan. This did not really go well at all for Hydra.
No.
This was actually really questionable.
Bella Blue, thank you for the 2-month resub. And yeah, this doesn't go well because one of the big things was Reality used those 2 drops not to like attack the main, but he was almost using them like Zerg players use them to cut off the reinforcements, right? Like that was kind of a cool move out of Reality and worked out really well for him. So no reinforcements to that front line. But that is going to send us off to a small break here, folks. So we won't be gone too long. Let me just load up a small ad from Ting, and we'll see you guys in a few minutes as we get into game number 4 after a, again, small break. Thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are getting into game number 4. Of course, it is still here for the Ting Open winners match, so don't worry. Your favorite player, if he loses, still has a chance to get through the group, but this is the winners game to determine who gets out in first place. Spawning in the bottom left, he's down 2 points currently and on his last life. With 1 point on the board, it is going to be Root Gaming's Hydra.
In the top right, as the Blue Terran, he is Reality.
Go for some Reapers. So, what I find really interesting about the prospect of the next match is, like, let's assume for a moment Reality wins 3-1. Hydra versus Solo. Solo ZVZ is probably a lot better than a ZVT. So it might be the best chance for him to take, like, an actual series in an objective sense. But then, if he rematches Reality, you know, we've talked and joked about the curse, but I do think this would be the first time we have that curse broken by Reality. Like, I don't know, that first series today was really one-sided.
It would certainly be the first curse to be broken in this tournament. I think it was probably broken once or twice in the past when we did more tournaments, but this one I think is a 100% win record. Well, we'll see. Reality has actually been playing a lot like he played versus Solo, so I feel like if Solo's watching this, and I hope that he is, to see both, even though it's a different matchup, potentially, see what's up.
I mean, it's almost, again, it's Orbital Shipyard, right? Like,
yeah, it's not just Orbital Shipyard though. So he went for the 3 racks on Orbital Shipyard last time, but he also did the Hellbat attack on Prion Terraces too. So similar builds for similar maps, and hopefully Solo is could maybe like hard counter him in some way. It's really hard to hard counter Reapers though. Like you can have a Roach Warren as early as freaking possible, so it won't matter. They're just like good units. Does Hydra know about this? He has no idea. Even Solo got to see the 2 racks at the very least at the front. Hydra has not even seen 1 racks.
Yeah, so there's no Roach Warren coming down, which is a little bit worrying. Second Reaper popping up. Again, not too super fishy right away, but the timing on that is pretty early. More Queens being made, and of course the Lings were kept back, so it's still alive, which is nice. But it's not these first 2 Reapers. It's not even the 4th Reaper that's scary. It's like when you hit Reapers like 6, 7, 8, 9, like this gets out of hand.
Yeah, that's true, but I already feel pretty bad for Hydra, who still does not throw down a Roach Warren. Now, technically the Roach Warren is the only way to defend against this. You can also just hope that Lings get a good surround, or maybe you get like a lot of Queens. It's just... It just seems to be the better option, one that goes into a more fluid macro game too. Because if you're going to stick on Lings, then I assume you're going to go for Spire, and I don't know if you can get a quick enough Spire or enough minerals and gas to really make that worth it after dealing with so many Reapers. But we'll certainly see. Hydra's doing a good job zoning him out so far. He's getting a lot of Lings. He's gonna chase these down. Grenades going down. Good control so far from Reality. He could go up to the high ground. I'm surprised he's not. He's still gonna take on the Lings.
The Lings are actually going out pretty badly. This was...
Yeah.
You should never kite into the Reapers like this. Everyone knows how this is gonna go. Thank you, by the way, Time to Tell for the big resub, 20 months. Woohoo! Still sitting on 1201 subs. It's such a weirdly high number.
It really is. I remember when we were really jealous of hearing about other people's subs counts around the same. And now other people can be jealous of us. Yeah.
All right, so this has been held pretty decently. The problem is it hasn't actually dealt with the Reapers yet, though. So there's still a threat. Obviously, Reality, as we all know, by doing this ends up delaying his further tech. But I'm curious about this double engineering bay coming up. Like, are we gonna see like 1/1 Reapers?
Yeah, it's kind of funny because he is so dedicated to the Reapers.
Like,
but
there's no tech lab. There's no factory.
there you go.
Okay,
The thing is, these Reapers have been doing really, really well. I mean, I think that Hydra is actually doing quite. He's doing as good as you can with Lings, I guess, but it's still not ideal. Once again, going to try and chase off of Creep, not going to work out. Reality should definitely transfer out of Reapers, but they are just so useful that even this number is not going to be useless as the game goes on. You can even use them against Banelings. And now I do have the question of, like, what can Hydra do? He spent so much larva and minerals on Lings, spent minerals on more Queens. I mean, he's not gone for a Roach Warren, so he's not going to go into Roach Ravager. He's got to be going up to a Spire of some sort, but by the time a Spire would be ready, Reality would have a dozen Marines, 24 Marines, and his own push probably ready to go. I'm just really holding off on it. He's just trying to get a third. Being down in workers against a Terran is not what you want, especially a Terran with 3 orbitals.
Another Queen goes down, kind of slaying the dragon.
My god, I actually didn't even realize his lair hadn't started. Should have noticed, but damn.
I mean, regardless of the layer being late, I mean, this is still... I'm surprised this many Reapers got away with so much. I mean, Reality... Yeah, his control's good, and it's, back in Korea, not worried about that NA stutter, lag, whatever. It's these Reapers have bought him such a lead. Now he hasn't won the game off of this, right? Like, this didn't spiral into 30 Reapers, killing all the Queens and killing all the Lings and making this laughable. He still has a game he has to fight.
Oh, nice.
Almost killed another Queen. But he has certainly gotten ahead off of this. There's no question about it.
I think he got really far ahead. I mean, I'm actually surprised. You're usually the one that is all about cheering for those Ravagers.
Well, I think it was that point that he scouted it so late, there's just no way to actually get to it in time. Like, if you throw the Roach Warren down, that's the cost of, what, 3 more sets of Lings, another Queen, and trying to get the actual Roaches out. How fastly this was getting out of control. Hydra did a good job holding on to this the way he did.
He did what he could, but Reality has such a good position in this game. His economy has been booming for the last couple of minutes. He's going to have upgrade, stim, combat shields. His medevacs are a little late. With the starport only being halfway done, but...
So, do you think... with the melee, this has got to be a fast hive, right? Like, it's got to be.
He might be going for Ling Infestor Ravager.
So that's what I was thinking, but... He's got to know there's a follow-up to this. I don't know. This is so weird. Like, the build for Hydra is obviously not going to be standard coming off of this.
Right. Like, he was in such a poor position anyway. The thing is that Ultralisk, he'll have nothing to stop the Terran army if he goes for Ultralisk, and he knows that. But if he goes for Infestors, maybe Reality will think twice at first about, like, stimming in, basically. And if he had gone for Ravagers, then he would have been able to actually, like, get a Fungal plus Corrosive Bile. And that has actually held games for a very long time in an unwinnable situation. But he's going to try and go for that hive with Infestors without Pathogen Glands. They're going to pop and be useless.
I don't know if he's going to get to it, though. These Marines are on 1-1. GG. Alright, Reality will take the Series 3-1 to be the first one out of the group. Congratulations to him. He will be in the round of 8. Now, Hydra versus Solo. It's going to be an interesting finals match. There is no loser's bracket curse shenanigans to worry about, but there is, like, this element of they're going to have to play an NA. They're going to have to play on NA. They might agree to server swap. I doubt it, though. Unlikely. And so, let me stop over there. But yeah, so congratulations to Reality. And now we are going to see the ZVZ, which, again, Solo has proven when Firecake's not busy throwing games, he can actually play to the ace match versus him, versus Penguin, versus others. Solo ZVZ has, in this tournament, so not going off of ladder stats or other tournaments he's played in the Ting Open so far, his ZVZ's looked pretty good. So see if he can keep up with Hydra. Hydra, it's worth noting, too, we've cast him a lot recently in CVZs, and he gets very complacent about his Roach Ravager play. Like, I don't think lazy's the right word, but he does end up eating a lot of Corrosive Biles often.
Yeah, he's actually, I don't know, he makes more engagement mistakes than I would have expected from someone who's won as much as he has, I guess is the nicest way to put it.
But okay, we are going to have to go to a word from our sponsors while we get this sorted. So guys, vetoes are coming. We'll get this last best of 5 going here ASAP. I want to thank you all for tuning in. Hope you've enjoyed the series and the group so far. And we'll be back in a few minutes.